Hi guys, my name is Tito. Many of you who are used to me on my channel, you know me, but this is something different. I'm not reviewing a Nollywood film this time around. This time around, we're doing something different. I have two people with me, two friends of mine, and we are going to recast the 2012 blockbuster film, The Avengers. Right? We're going to recast it with Nollywood actors. Okay? Before we dive into it, though, I'll have my guests introduce themselves. On my left, I have.
Hi, I'm Nee of Niiyin Film. I am a movie analyst.
Okay. And on my right, I have.
My name is Presley, writer director. I also produce and host a radio show about film. It's called Movies, Theme Songs, and Soundtracks. #MTSS.
Yes, on Inspiration FM.
Yes.
Saturdays at 3 p.m.
3 to 4 p.m. Yes.
3 to 4 p.m. We've both been on Presley's
Yeah.
show in
Yeah,
the past.
and both of you should come again.
Well, we'll see about that. Anyway, guys, let's dive right into it. The Avengers. Anyway, at the end of this, I'll ask you guys, if I remember, where you saw The Avengers and, what it was like and all that. It came out in 2012, 13 years ago.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah,
13
time
years.
flies, Time flies. Anyway, let's start recasting this film.
Okay.
Let's start with Iron Man, okay? And we'll start with you, Nee. Who would you cast from Nollywood to play Tony Stark?
Okay, so I think this is the most delicate of the casting decisions,
Yeah.
and well, based on this guy's past works, I think that he has exhibited characteristics that, if given and put in the right condition and exaggerated to the right extent, he would be able to pull this off. Because he's not just being a good Tony Stark; he's now being also a good Robert Downey Jr.
Junior, yeah.
So I would say Mawuli Gaffo.
Right.
Okay,
Yeah.
Mawuli.
I like the spin. I mean, it's not necessarily Nollywood per se,
Mm.
but it's also Nollywood per se.
It's
you get what
Nollywood
I mean.
adjacent.
Yeah.
Okay. We'll come back to that.
Yeah.
I don't know how I feel about Mawuli Gavo playing Tony Stark, but I mean, because of the goatee. But anyway, let's move on. Presley.
I mean, I thought about it too, and kind of like for the same reasons
Uh-huh.
as Nia stated. But I have a different person in mind. I'm also thinking, who do I see wearing glasses in a
Suits.
science lab, wearing a wearing a lab coat? Who do I see in meetings with, like, suave people, rich people that can command this presence of my millionaire, billionaire, whatever, and also a leader.
Right.
Then you think about the pack, and for some reason I just couldn't shake Uzo Arukwe.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I just kept thinking Uzo would be great in this
As
in this
Tony
in this
Stark.
role. Yeah, as Tony Stark and
Iron
you
Man.
know
And
Iron Man.
Man.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he's a bit of a physical actor too.
There's
He's
that
done
too.
some physical
There's
roles.
that too.
I would pick Eluzonam. He was on Big Brother Nigeria a few years ago, and he's acted in a few things. I think because of his wit, he has he's very creative. First of all, if you've seen his content on YouTube or Instagram or social media, it's very well acted out and very well edited. And his sense of humor is quite Western, right? So I think Elo would be. I mean,
Yeah.
personally, Elo,
I mean,
right?
I definitely see the Elo choice. I mean, edits and all that,
And
the
all that,
content he
yeah.
creates.
And I think it's the wit too. I think
Yeah.
he'd pull it off.
Yeah.
So that's my choice. Anyway, we're moving on. Because Whitney is looking at me as if.
No, I wanted to say that because you mentioned that his humor is Western. And I wanted to say that, like, shouldn't that humor be adapted to the Nigerian context? That's my issue with that. Yeah.
It could still work, even though it's quite Western. Because, I mean, Elo is here
Elo is
and
here,
his
yeah.
jokes are, like I said, it's quite Western, but people still get it.
Okay.
So I think even
Right.
though it tends to be a bit Western and it's
Yeah.
not like the Nigerian or African humor, I think people would still get it
Yeah.
if he was to.
Maybe not everybody, but people still get it.
Yeah. Now, moving on to the second most important person in the Avengers, I think, Cap. Yeah, Captain
Right.
America. So,
Captain Nigeria in this. in this
Captain
instance.
Nigeria.
okay. My Captain America would be Toby Bakri because of the build.
Uh-huh.
And I think a requirement for Cap is he has just, like, ladies need to like him. He needs
Yeah.
to be attractive
That's a
and
good point.
whatnot
Yeah.
and have a good build and
Yeah.
have that leader, very, what is right, what is wrong is wrong.
Yeah.
That's very much how Cap thinks, right? So
Yeah.
I would cast Toby Bakri.
Yeah.
How about you, Presley? Who'd be your Cap?
Again, for the same reasons as you, leader. I see
Ladies
a
man.
Captain America that's a model, ladies man, eye candy,
Mm.
beautiful man, strong
Strong,
man,
yeah.
because Captain America also depicts that.
Yeah.
And he's
True.
also like the nucleus of the entire
The team.
ensemble when you think Avengers.
Right.
And just putting all of those together, I just thought, Daniel Etimefeong, I see the persona. I definitely see what I think of him. Of course, not to say that Toby Bakri doesn't work, but
Yeah.
I mean, if I was in a position of casting,
Yeah.
I'd think about Toby for something else, but definitely Daniel for Captain
Cap.
America.
Okay.
So I would go with F.I. Wara. I was seeing an episode of The Men's Club, which I did not even watch normally, but because of research purposes for this. And I do think you'll be able to pull off the nobility part of it, as well as the build and the physicality. You mentioned a good point about eye candy, which I didn't consider, but I think it's still a good choice. Yeah.
Right. So Toby, Effa, Daniel Etimeffion. Interesting. No, we haven't settled on a common choice just yet, but hopefully we will.
Maybe, hopefully.
I feel like Black Widow might be
the one.
What's it called?
Ha!
You'd be surprised.
Okay, let's
Fingers crossed.
hopefully.
Okay, so next we have Thor.
Can I go? Please.
Yes, you go. Please, we're going like this, so you start.
Jimmy Odukoya.
Thor.
Yes.
That's very good. I did not think of him. That's very good casting decision.
Jimmy Odukoya.
Actually,
it was easily I remember thinking about this. I was even excited when I arrived at the choice of Jimmy Odukoya for Thor. I see it. I oversee it.
You oversee it,
period.
yes. I mean, the hair, the build,
the
voice,
the voice,
the tone of the voice,
and even the fact that when I remember him in Woman King, there's almost the semblance of the costuming, also the cape and everything. It already sort of looks like a Thor.
Let's hear what Nii has to say for her.
So I think that's a good decision, but I feel like it's Thor reformed. Like in like Thor 1, like in 2011, it was still like a bit of like exactly a trustful kid, you know.
Right,
so I feel I would go with Kuleremi. I think Kuleremi could play the trustful kid Thor, and he could play the reformed Thor.
Well, I mean, Thor in the Avengers had grown a bit from Thor 1, right?
Okay, that's a good point.
But still, I think Kuleremi can still
pull it off.
Yeah, pull it off. Yeah, no, I'm feeling bad about him. Who did I pick as Thor? Funny enough, Stan's there. Stan.
Why? I want to know why.
Because Stan has the build, one, and the way Thor talks, right? Yeah, I think Stan will be able to speak in that regard. And Thor, I said Thor. Stan he's such a great actor. He's one of my favorite Nollywood actors, and I think he'd be able to speak in a certain way just to match that. Let's move on to who should we do next? Who do you think we should do next? I think it makes
Let's
sense.
do Black Widow.
First, okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
I want to see if you guys. I feel like there's an obvious choice, and I don't know if you guys are going to go
Black
for
Widow?
that. Yes, I feel like I don't know if it's an obvious choice, but I feel like it's the first choice that comes to people's minds.
We'll find out.
Okay.
Yeah.
So who is
comes
your
to
Black
mind?
Widow?
20 tons.
What?
What?
Yeah, why? Based on
Why?
what?
Why? So I think Tony Tones
Tony
as
Tones
the
is a fabulous actor.
Yeah.
She is.
I think
Fabulous.
she yes, but I think it's because I feel like acting to me is shape shifting. You know, when people say like this casting thing, the first thing that comes to my mind is well, it depends on it. Their job is to shape shift. But I feel like their characteristics an actor as that is similar or adjacent to the characteristics certain characters as that makes it easier for them to shape shift more seamlessly into certain characters.
Right.
I feel Tony Tones as the thing that stood out to me amongst my other decisions, which included Adesua came to mind, but I knew immediately that I wasn't going to choose Adesua.
Right.
Then Kehinde Makule came to mind. Then Osas came to mind. The reason why I settled on Tony Tones is I feel like she has the extra sharp sassiness that Black Widow requires.
Right.
And I feel like she can pull it off. I feel like she would carry herself very well as a Black Widow. I don't even see her
Great
as
choice.
a Scarlett Johansson adjacent. I see her as Black Widow. That's
Right.
that's how confident I am in my choice.
Wow.
It's the confidence from me. Great choice. Mine would be Omomi Dada.
Okay.
Why?
Because first of all, she look really good in that
She
Black
does.
Widow suit.
She does.
I don't know if that's a requirement. I don't know. But
No, but
okay.
she has.
You can't blame a man for having his things. Yeah.
Okay.
No,
Just go
but
ahead.
Black Widow she's attractive. I think the character is attractive. The
Yes.
actress is attractive. So naturally, I think we want to cast somebody attractive. But Omomi Dada, Black Widow in films, she has her internal stuff and she's a spy also, right?
Yeah.
And I think Omomi in films I've seen her in where she's struggling through things or going through things, she's
That's
not
a good
always a
point.
happy girl.
Yeah.
She's going through something. She's trying to find out something. And I see her, in the second Winter Soldier when it was largely Cap, Black Widow, and Falcon,
Yeah.
right? I can see my Cap, i.e. Toby, and Omomi, working hand in hand, going around trying to figure stuff out.
Right.
And I see Omomi
Right,
being inquisitive, trying to get to the bottom of things.
Right.
And, I'd like to see her kicking butt in a
Right.
movie. So, yeah,
Right.
Omomi Dada. Who is
Right.
your Black
I
Widow?
definitely like that. Beyond just thinking about these characters as individuals, we're also thinking about them
The
as they
interplay with
fit
other
into,
the team.
kind of like what Nii said. I thought about Adesua.
Okay.
I didn't think Kehinde Bankole. I do think Kehinde Bankole is a fabulous actor, and she's a personal friend. I did think Adesua. I did think Tony Tones. but there's one spectacular feature I want to point out, and that is I also thought about Black Widow as someone who, and I don't know if you agree, you don't see her coming. A lot of the time, I feel like I know her so well, but then she does something, and I'm thinking, wait, hold on, I didn't see this coming. Still, which led me to my choice, and that's Ife, really, right? The very sensual, very hold her own, bold, confident. But there's also something that I think is very important. That's being very athletic.
Yes.
You pointed out how you love to see a mom kick butt and all of that stuff. And I've seen Ife in a number of roles that makes me believe that if she wears that, character, she'll do really well. So I definitely think Ife really. If I even tell you the actual role that made me convinced.
Which role?
Lishabi.
Lishabi.
Yeah, her role as Eye.
Right.
As Eye in Lishabi. I thought, wow, okay.
Right. Okay.
I didn't see her in that role at all. But the moment I saw her on my screen, I'm like, wow, okay, this works.
Okay.
Okay.
So we're moving on to Hulk. So my Hulk is Blossom Chikujeku. Because I see Blossom, Hulk is he's one of the smartest men in the Marvel universe, right?
Okay.
And I see Blossom in the lab coat with glasses, a scientist figuring stuff out. And I think we tend to see Blossom more in bad guy, very masculine type of roles. Whereas Bruce Banner is a chilled out guy.
Yeah.
It's the Hulk that's that the one everyone is scared of.
Yes.
So I'd like to see Blossom in the chilled out doctor kind of nerdy role.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because you want both, actually.
You want
Yeah.
both,
And you're right. When people think Hulk, they think the angry guy, but then he's a blend of
both. Bruce Banner is this guy trying to keep his cool, he keep his calm and everything and not lose it.
Yeah.
So I'd like to see Blossom in that kind of role.
Yeah.
And I see Blossom as being a lab guy.
Yes. Yes.
So Presley, who is your Hulk before we come to news?
I'd go with Blossom also.
Oh, really? Okay.
I'd go with Blossom also.
Who are you going to say?
But,
Who are you-
I'll go with Blossom also, and then I'll say that a close second for me would be Jay Blaze.
As
Jay
Bruce
Blaze.
Banner.
Jay Blaze. But
Jay Blaze.
the reason I'm going with
good
Blossom
actor.
though is, if I'm being honest, I thought more of the Hulk than I
than
did
Bruce
of
Banner.
Bruce Banner. Not to say that Jay Blaze cannot hold his own as Bruce Banner. I do see him wearing a lab coat also. I've seen him in that in
He's a
that
doctor.
light. I've seen him in that light also. I mean, it also even helps that he's an actual doctor.
He is?
Yes.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he's an actual doctor.
Wow.
But just thinking about everything, like merging Bruce and the Hulk, the transition of it, I'd say Blossom actually.
So I apologize for this mispronunciation. This is not the elders meant for it to be pronounced.
Okay.
I'm so sorry. Enyina
Enyina Igwe.
Igwe.
Yeah.
And the reason is because I like Tito, I also thought about Bruce Banner. And I feel like the Hulk, to be very honest, can be anybody. You don't even really have to have the actor in the studio to portray the Hulk. It's like you don't, even his facial expressions, I feel like they're so covered up that it's just the rage you see when you're looking at the Hulk. But for Bruce Banner, I think that gentility, I think Enyina, I think he embodies that well. And I would like to see him go from that gentility to like the transitioning into rage.
Right.
Yeah, I
Right.
think that's it.
So next, Hawkeye. Before
I'm excited for this. Hawkeye, Sam Morris.
Sam
Yes.
Sam from YouTube.
Morris Sam.
Yes.
Got it.
And the reason is because, especially if you see like Hawkeye in the Avengers, but let's even talk about Hawkeye's introduction from Thor to like the Avengers. It's still the same Hawkeye. We see the character progression is still pretty much the same. I think Sam Morris could, that stoic, sharpshooter, obeying commands. I think Sam Morris would do that excellently well.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, he did play Blade in Blood Sister as well. Even though it was for like
Oh,
a very
right,
short time. Yeah.
right.
Let's not talk about
Let's
what
not
Blade
talk about
did.
that.
Let's talk about him playing Blade.
Yes, let's
Yes.
talk about that. My Hawkeye is going to be a Jide Kene Achufusi. Okay, so yeah, so he'd be I see him, he's tall. I see him in the sleeveless Hawkeye thing. I see him with a bow and arrow.
Do you see him as a rebel though?
He can be.
He can be.
Yeah, is Barton a rebel? Clint, Hawkeye Barton, is he a rebel?
I mean,
he works for
he
Shield.
has
He's
this-
a
he has this-
soldier. I
he
think
has
he's
this-
dedicated,
He's a
like,
dedicated soldier,
yeah.
but he has this, for lack of a better term, rough side to him. It has this Robin Hood characteristics. Like today he can be in the eyebrow part of the country trying to fix stuff. Next tomorrow is in the ghetto, also trying to do what he does. Yeah, what's common to him is really just his cause. But there's a fluidity as to where you can place him. All of these things are really what just influenced my
Your
own
choice.
choice.
Who is?
Who is Jamal Ibrahim? A very unusual I realize. But I couldn't shake the idea of him also. I do think that Jamal Ibrahim would. I mean, not a lot of people have seen him in a lot of work per se. But in the few, I've seen him alongside Folu Storms, for example, in
Crime and Justice.
Crime and Justice, I believe.
Yeah, on
Yeah,
Showmax.
yeah.
Yeah.
And just also knowing, I guess, his interests on a personal level, I do think that Jamal Ibrahim makes for a good Hawkeye.
Let's now do. Have we done all of them? I think.
Loki and Nick Fury.
Okay, let's stick
I
with.
feel like that Nick Fury is very interesting.
Okay, so
Let's do Nick Fury next.
let's do Nick Fury. So my Nick Fury is Femi Jacobs. Because Nick Fury is. I thought about this earlier. He's like the Daddy Gio of the Avengers.
Humor me. If it wasn't Femi Jacobs, who would it be?
Casting Nick Fury from Nollywood was the hardest choice for me. It took a while. And then I thought
there's really
Femi
not
Jacobs
so many.
because
Because there are really not so many people.
there are not so many people. And the challenge is not him to play Nick Fury, not him to play Sam Jackson. Because Samuel L. Jackson is very different from, and me, a comic book person. The Nick Fury in the comics is very different from Sam Jackson.
Yes.
Nick
Yeah.
Fury looks younger, he has
Yes,
hair,
yes,
he's more
yes,
athletic.
yes.
But they cast Sam Jackson for whatever reason, right? But I wanted to strike that balance. For somebody who's like a father figure, he's like the Daddy Gio of the Avengers, And I think Femi Jacobs typically he plays the father figure a lot. I can see him with an eye patch and a trench coat, a black trench coat. And I see him being the one getting the gang together, telling them what to do and all that. So Femi Jacobs for me.
Who did you think me?
Chidi Mokeme.
Is
that what we thought as well?
Yep.
We have a match!
Stop it.
I think,
But yeah, that was
I
my
think
choice.
like even beyond
Okay.
looks, I don't think he has shown like characteristics of the Nick Fury in MCU.
Yes.
In some of his other projects, I
Yes.
think he'd be badass and still
Yes.
be
Yes.
a father figure, but not the doting father figure, more
Yes.
of the I'm training my child to kick ass
There we
father
go.
figure.
There we
So
go.
yeah, I love him. I think that's one of my best
Yeah.
cast decisions I've made in this Nollywood
Yeah.
edition.
So,
yeah.
well, congratulations. Both of you saying that you're
Everything she
aligned.
said. Everything.
Yeah, so-
Congratulations. Wow. Anyway, I still stick with my Femi Jacobs. But I do see Chidi Mokeme in that role. I see him, bald. I see the eye patch. He's tall. I
Yeah.
see the jacket.
Yeah.
He
I see
can
he's
also be
badass.
athletic. He can step
Yeah.
in the situation.
Definitely,
yeah.
Chidinma
Cool.
Okeme.
Okay. Loki. We'll do Loki, then we'll just do Pepper Potts. I know I didn't, tell you guys about Pepper Potts. I did just.
It,
she was-
you tell me, but it occurred
Yeah.
to me. Okay.
She was barely in the first Avengers film. The only time I remember seeing her in the first Avengers film was when Tony was taking the nuke.
Exactly. That's when
And
she
he
was. And she
called
called
her.
her. Yeah.
Yeah.
But she didn't because she was watching the news. So I think that's the only time she showed. So who's the Loki?
I mean, because my Thor was Jimmy Odukoya, my
Mhm.
Loki is Stanze.
Is who Staninze?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
My
Okay.
Loki is Stanze.
Okay, funny because my Thor was
Your Thor is
Stan,
Stan,
and
yeah.
so Stan for the brothers, Loki
Yeah.
and Thor being
Okay.
brothers. Is there any particular performance in the movie you've seen that would?
Mischievous guy.
Mhm.
Let's see. None comes to mind in this moment actually. But just thinking about again because like you
It's
said,
Stan.
he's a very good
versatile
actor. He's a
yeah.
versatile actor.
And you
So,
can see him with the
You
cape
see him
and
with
being
the
full
cape,
of
you see him,
himself
yeah.
and trying to.
And trying to just be
confuse people,
mischievous. There we
mischievous,
go.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Stan definitely for me.
Okay.
Me, who is your Loki?
Tope Telela. I think it's look. I
The
think he's
mysterious part of it I see.
yes, and I also picked the cunning, the conniving. I think there's a role he acted in where he exhibited little. I don't think it was for a long time, but the conniving. I also feel like he looks a bit mischievous. He looks like something is going on at the back of his head.
Joe Goldberg.
Different form. You can't take him at face value. That's how he looks.
Yeah.
And I think an important part for me was that I didn't want this cast to be too physical.
Mm.
Because Loki is
Because
more on
Loki is
the
not
it's more of the
necessarily-
brains
yeah.
than the bronze guys.
Yeah.
It does. I think this is a good choice
Yeah,
for me.
that's actually a good point.
Okay.
That's actually a good point.
My Loki would have been Gideon Okeke.
Okay.
Because don't you see not just the build, not even because Loki doesn't need to be built, but I see Gideon can be a very good villain.
Yes.
I think can be a very good
Definitely,
villain, especially
definitely.
one that goes against the Avengers.
Definitely, yeah.
So I see him, especially when that in that famous scene between Loki and the Hulk when he smashes him around and they capture him and he's like, I could use that drink now, something like that.
Yeah.
I can see Gideon saying all those things and being in all those scenes that Hiddleston was in the first Avengers film. Bonus cast member or bonus casting for Pepper Potts, played by Gwyneth Paltrow in the film, the Avengers film. So the requirement is that she needs to be very caring of Tony,
Yeah.
dote over him, and look good in a skirt suit.
Every Nigerian woman looks good in this
Well,
case.
we can
Um,
yes, we can argue about that.
Yeah.
Let's leave that
Mention
for now.
names.
I will
Mention
mention
names,
names.
you must
Okay, some I think some actresses look better in a skirt than others. So
Mention names.
I think mine would be Osas. Mine would be Osas. Osas
Who was your Thor again?
my
Your
Thor,
Thor,
my
yeah.
Iron Man.
Your Iron Man, rather.
My Iron Man was Elozonam. So I know I was
So
thinking
Osas
of,
and Elozo now?
it can happen. She has been in one of his skits.
Yeah, she has been one.
Osas
I think
has
two,
been
actually.
in. Wait, I've seen one, right?
Yeah.
It was an alien based one. So I see Osas and Elo, they can be love interests, and I can see them looking out for each other. You know? Yeah. I know I thought about that, you know,
Yeah,
seeing the
what they look like, the optics
male
of
love
it.
interest and everything, but I think it could work. Who wants to go first for Pepper
I had no
Potts?
time to prepare for this. I want to
Yeah,
say.
okay. So you're still
But I
thinking.
would say no. I'm ready.
Okay.
I would say I think Atlanta Bridget. I think she
Yes.
would pull up a very caring,
Demure.
yes, and I've seen her in a couple of secretarial roles. I think she does. She carries herself well. Another important thing for me is that there's not a lot of emphasis or focus on Pepper Potts' body. I feel like that focus is for Black Widow. So I feel like someone that the only thing about her is not her body. Do you understand what I'm saying? She walks into the room and there are other things about her. I feel
About
like
her.
Atlanta Bridget
Would feel that.
yeah, I feel like she'll do well.
Good choice. Good choice. Presley?
I'm torn.
Okay, between who and who?
I'm torn, not necessarily between who and who, between the characteristics that both of you have put on the table. I thought I had it until I heard both of you speak.
Okay.
I thought I had it with Bube Mieje. I thought I had it with Bube Mieje.
Pepper Potts.
I can see that.
I can see
I
this.
thought I had it with Bube Mieje, but then just listening to everything, you know, I do think that Bube Mieje also fits those categories.
Yeah.
But the question is she 100% an embodiment of all? Now I'm thinking, do I wanna consider Kehinde Bankole?
She came to my mind. too.
Also because I'm now thinking of the dynamics between her and
Your
Yeah.
Iron
you know,
Man.
my
Who's your
Iron Man, which is Uzo Aruke.
Okay. In Bankole and Uzari.
I like something you
Work.
said, which is, you know, in the film, there's not so much focus on Gwyneth Paltrow's character's body. However, Tito mentioned something, which is when you do see her though, she's a spec. She's a hot girl.
Okay.
You know, and it's not ridiculous when you think about a Iron Man being side by side this lady. You know,
Okay.
so Iron Man is a catch, but the woman is also a catch. If you think about the dynamic, you could almost even call them like a couple goals, a power couple
Yeah.
type scenario. So when I think about those criteria also, I do think that Kehinde Bankole would do
Okay.
well.
Nice. Great job, guys. Quick one. Who would you get to direct your version of the Avengers?
That's easy.
Okay. Are you sure about that?
No, you go first. You go first.
I would have to direct us.
Okay, we can have two. That's good.
I'd have to Victor Sanchez Agawa
Wow.
and
I love that.
I'm
love
very,
that.
I'm very sure even Victor watching this will not see that coming.
Shout out Victor, he's
Yeah.
a great guy. And I don't know why, but Biodu Stevens. So I'd have Victor for the action sequences, the action
Yeah.
elements, and then for the story elements, I'd get Biodu Stevens. Yeah, I feel because you do need the heart for something like Avengers. Victor can probably do both, but I'm not confident with about the action in Biodu Stevens' hands alone. Let me put it that way.
Right.
Who wants to?
Jadi Oshiberu and Daniel Oriahi.
I like Jadi Oshiberu.
Jadi Oshiberu and Daniel Oriahi. Like you said, the action sequences, they bring in the story together, they bring in the ensemble together, and then telling the story in a way that the people would appreciate it beyond just individual characters having really strong
Yeah,
personalities.
I think she did.
So. Jadi Oshiberu and Daniel.
The
For
production design will always be dope because
Yeah.
Daddy likes her
sure.
colors.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah,
Definitely.
so, which
So,
is
yeah.
kind of necessary for the Avengers,
Yeah.
I guess. Okay.
I would say Kemi Adesiba.
Yeah.
I think she understands how to relay vigor in characters to the audience, and she understands eye action as well.
Right.
I think Kemi Adesiba will do a good job. I don't think
Just
so.
her?
I think
Yeah.
she's on
Wow.
on her own. I mean, I'm the one that said two, you know.
Yeah.
But if I didn't, you
I
guys.
see what you're doing there. I see what you did.
Me and Presley, thank you so much. This has been amazing. This was lots
Thank
of
you for
fun.
having
It was
us,
a battle, but we made it to the
And we
final.
had one match.
Yeah, you
Yeah,
guys
we
had
had
one
one
match.
match, yeah. What was that
Congratulations.
again? Chidimokeme.
Chidimokeme
You and I
for
had Blossom.
yeah,
But yeah.
Blossom.
So, well,
This works.
Yeah,
the
great
spirit
minds
is
think
here.
alike.
The spirit is one. Anyway.
Guys, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this. Hopefully, we'll be doing more of this. I'd like to thank Nee. Thank you so much for making
It's
the
a
time.
pleasure anytime.
Thank you, Presley.
Sure thing.
Real quick, Nee, your Instagram handles for people who want to find you online.
So my Instagram and TikTok is Nii and Film. My name Niiyin and Film. Yeah.
Awesome. And Presley?
Right, find me AA.Presley, AA.PRESLEY. Of course, follow hashtag MTSS also. Spell it out. Hashtag MTSS.
Thank you guys so much.
Thank you,
My name is Tito, and hey, if you're watching this, you probably already know me, but on Instagram, I'm at Eniola Tito and all that. Thanks, guys, once again. And
Thank
hopefully,
you.
we'll be back real soon for. I have so many ideas for this
Yes,
one.
yes,
yeah,
please,
I
let's
can't
do
wait
it.
Fun,
to.
Let's do
yeah.
Well, yeah, this is the first one. Hopefully, there'll be more to come.
Yeah.
Yes.
Thanks so much, guys. Bye. Wave at the camera. Bye. This episode was recorded at the Creative Economy Practice Entertainment Hub. Do you want to create in this space? Then join the CEP Entertainment and Media Hub's community with the link showing on the screen and in the description box below.